they can have their autonomy, like they had for a long time, but they cannot represent a threat because they're a threat. I cannot be neighbors with two of them.
And speaking about releasing the hostages, yesterday I observed that two of the hostages actually been announced deceased. One, the famous historian, peace lover, and there's another person by friendly fire.
They have not confirmed that they are dead because they need to have actual physical proof. But yeah, they have said that they have enough intelligence to say that they're dead.
Yeah, and
that's what Daniel said to us.
Friendly fire. I mean, that means that they kill their own again because of this indiscriminate.
Well, I'm gonna tell you that all of this can happen. Unfortunately, it's a war, and as a war, the consequences can be on both sides. But who will bear the responsibility of that? Come on.
Palestinian, of course, for the killing of the hostages in Palestine by the IDF. I don't really.
No, but they will take responsibility of it because I mean they were the ones kidnapping them. They were the ones putting them.
No, but how about the hostages, Isa, in the prisons in Israel? How about those hostages, Palestinian hostages?
Right.
No. Hold on.
Yeah,
they are not hostages. They are prisoners.
We're too smart for that. Like, yeah, you calling prisoners hostages might sound cute, but it just makes you sound an idiot.
Where is the proof that every single one of them is a prisoner?
There is no proof.
Hold on. A hostage is when you're being kidnapped. A prisoner is when you have committed a crime and they take you for you to be judged.
Human Rights Organization has said that majority of the Palestinians in militant courts, okay, Isa, have not been trialed in a fair way. Like they've been always mistrialed, and this is what happens, Isa, by humanitarian organizations.
I'm gonna like that.
I will explain it to you very simply. When you're using the military words, it sounds horrible. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Mute up because you might actually learn something, but probably not. In the disputed territories, unless Israel annexes it, the only legal authority are the military courts. That sounds awful. The military courts have civilian-like procedures. It's just that the Israeli court has no authority over a Palestinian because they're not a citizen. So they're called military courts. They have been charged with crimes. They have had trials. And they're even represented by lawyers. Not only that, Palestinians have sued Israelis in military courts, which is the only quote-unquote occupation that allows for such a thing. So when you use the term military courts, it's another trying of an emotional manipulation, so you're just not understanding international law or how it's been applied.
That's bullshit.
So civilians are
I watched videos of podcasts and interviews of people from Palestine and from Israel having a debate with your spokesman, with your Arab spokesman, that guy, I don't know what his name was.
Wait, my spokesman? Was he the U.S. spokesman?
Who's my spokesman? IDF spokesman.
So the IDF spokesman. Oh, I thought you meant like Kamala Harris. She's my spokesman.
Don't
but you just got me so
He was himself talking about the victims, the families of the victims, about mistreatment and mistreatment of Palestinians in Israel. So basically what happens
is that
you're bullshitting.
Okay, so you heard an interview. Okay, now let's go through this. I just explained to you how international law works. You heard an interview by someone who said something that might have sounded like something was misapplied in that trial. Okay? I mean, the lack of logic in this room is really like I'm losing IQ points.
Anyway, I would like to, so Maxad, you explained this the other day, like the comparisons when you are captured inside of Israel boundaries and when you're captured outside of Israel boundaries because of war crimes, which could be, I don't know, whatever, attacking an IDF soldier or whatever it is. So, and you differentiated the two processes that the prisoners have to go through. Do you remember? Was it you?
Yeah, there would be roughly 3 courts. You'd be thinking about the civil courts of Israel, if someone wronged me and I was complaining about it. The criminal courts of Israel, which would be crimes that aren't permitted by law and the normal police judges. And then there's military courts, which are run by militaries, the army. If you're in certain zones, you're subject to the military courts. You don't get the criminal courts, because they're maintaining order there and they don't even have police, right? They are simply the military. They are the de facto police.
It's a cheaper legal industrial complex. You just
Okay,
combine it
don't
into the
interrupt.
military.
Don't interrupt. You can speak later. Don't interrupt. Please explain.
The hostages that the pro-Palestinians are referencing are prisoners, people that have committed crimes, have been given representation, have argued before a court and been found guilty and put into a prison in Israel with all of the standards of whatever prison has for its prisoners.
And the
So,
military.
someone asked for the solution, right? Hey, why do you think the solution?
I think he lost. I think he lost sound. Are you there still, Matteo?
So,
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
so wait a second. Why do you think the UN think otherwise, though? Like all of these human rights watchdog.
UN thinks? How is the UN thinking? Like, seriously, though, can you be more specific?
This is a place, not
I understand, but what
thing
is
or a
UN?
person. No, these are
UN has many things
together
I understand,
daily,
but why do you
and
think?
they're doing things to maintain peace amongst each other, right?
How
There are people that just want all of this to go away, other people that want it to get started again because maybe something crazy fun will happen.
Why do you think that Israel does not provide the proper justice when they call out all of these
What is
Palestinians?
I
the
didn't
proper
say
justice?
that they don't provide the proper justice. I would never imply that. I
No,
don't
they're
think
saying that
that's
they
true.
don't.
I think that they probably do
Wait,
justice
is,
trying to fit needs.
You weren't talking about the UN.
I have an important point. I have an important point to say, Mitzvah, just before we move on from this point. Okay, I agree with you. So you were
That was a beautiful point.
so you were talking about the Palestinian. Okay, we're going back to the Palestinian children and how I see them as hostages and blah blah blah.
No, hold on. You're the one moving the point. We're still talking about the courts and about the
Okay.
You're the one moving the point.
And meanwhile, while we continue, maybe you can take the time and look for the meaning of the word hostage and see.
You're talking about the prisoners, the
Yes,
criminals.
correct.
Don't speak.
Hold on. Everybody can talk, dude. Just move very slowly.
You need to come in with honesty, and we are trying to be accurate. And if you want to try to do propaganda, it will not work because we stop you. So keep taking hold on. It's very hard for me to listen while I'm. Very hard for me.
Let her speak.
Yeah, it's really hard.
Hold on for a second.
It's really hard. So please take a moment and you can use any dictionary you want. Look up the word hostage and see what it means.
Okay, what do you want to say, Liv, that it's so urgent?
Okay, I'll tell you, Daniel, why our prisoners are also hostages. It's because we don't, when the idea takes someone, you don't announce his name, you don't announce where is he, what is the court.
It's the non-definition of hostage.
You bring trucks.
No. You want to do it together? You want to do it? Okay, I will read you the definition.
Listen, please.
Okay, just let him finish his point.
Yes, exactly. You bring 20 trucks, you load them with people saying, hey, these people are terrorists, and you take them away, and no one hears about them anymore, except later you release some, and some are pronounced dead. This is taking hostages as well. If you guys are prosecuting these people, you should announce their names, announce their crimes with evidence, and then you announce to the
Are you talking about what goes on in Gaza now?
Mute up. To release the official news about all of these supposedly criminals, and then we can say that yes, these guys are criminals.
Are you talking about the people taken from Gaza?
Yes.
Okay, I can understand the right point.
Just recently you stripped like 50 people in front of people and filmed them and...
Yeah, I don't know if you are up to date, but there's a war going on, and when you take someone during war, it's not like the same procedure that the police come, that there's an arrest warrant, and yada yada yada.
Yeah, so that's why you hostages don't do war.
I understand the reality is different.
That's why they don't do hostages.
No,
Because of the war.
guys.
So if you want to accept those prisoners, in your words, then you have to accept the hostages on the other side.
Guys, I understand that you're emotional, but you're trying to.
I'm totally not emotional.
Okay, go. Let's check together.
It's just how it is.
I'm not
It is how it is.
Let's check together.
You just have to accept it.
Okay, I'm gonna have to start with you guys because you don't know how to.
But I was next, though.
I know. Hold on, Sarah. Hold on. So
Let's just look at the definition of the word hostages, okay? Because we are using.
I don't give a fuck about the definition, man.
Okay. So maybe okay, got it.
Oh, this definition is talking about human lives. And you're
Maybe,
about definitions.
listen, dude, emotions will not help anyone, okay?
No, but
Okay, so I will read you the definition.
it's not a discussion about definitions.
Closing, if you want to
It's about human life.
closing, if you want to stay on the stage, you're going to.
You're right, Isa. You're right. I'm sorry.
If you cared about human lives, you wouldn't have started a war. You wanted carnage and you got it.
So the Hamas started the war. There is a war this
Okay, this is the reason why
You
we
mean
need
in
them.
1948 when 5 countries attacked Israel and tried to annihilate them?
No, I'm talking about the existence of Israel. I'm talking about the existence of
Israel. The existence of Israel.
You want to speak about definition? What kind of discussion is that?
Closing, we need to hear differentiate. We need to differentiate here two
Give
things.
me 1 second.
Hold on. No, you're going to shut up right now. We need to differentiate here two things. One.
This is what they like. It's okay, I'm going to be quiet right now.
Okay, so do you want to go to the audience or do you want to stay on stage? I want you to speak, but you cannot just go here like crazy, dude, because nobody hears each other. So we need to differentiate two things. One is the conflict, which you're right, it comes from dozens of years ago, and another one is the war. That conflict has had many wars. This war that we're seeing right now was initiated by Hamas. There has been a conflict, but the war was initiated by Hamas. We need to differentiate that.
I think that
Yeah, can I
do
say my
matter,
point now, Lisa?
And nuances do matter, and definitions do matter, especially when we use them. Otherwise, you know what? Everything is a genocide. It doesn't mean anything, but it means. So I will read from the dictionary what is a hostage, okay? So everybody listen up and know. So someone who is taken as a prisoner by an enemy in order to force the other people involved to do what the enemy wants. Okay? That is the definition of a hostage. Basically, you take someone in order to force someone else to do what you want. That is a hostage, okay?
Can you read now the definition? Can you read now the definition of war prisoner?
Is this about focus? Is this like a dictionary discussion kind of thing?
No, it's
No,
not.
it's
It's
a
not.
communication.
What the fuck is this kind of bullshit?
Don't think. If we are not able to agree, if we are not able to agree on definitions, then we can't have a conversation. Because then we're not talking about the same thing. So it's not about a class, it's just for us all to understand what we're saying when we're talking. That's all.
What is the point is to use words and confuse everyone and not understand words.
Yeah, you know, let's say that the Palestinians are actually aliens, and instead of war, we can call everything a genocide, and let's be done with it.
Stop. But you know, Daniel, there are a bunch of Jew
Mute up. Prisoner of war is a member of an armed forces who has been caught by enemy forces.
Okay, so the Jews in the Second World War were prisoners.
Okay, can you please reread the definition of war for this? Because I didn't hear it.
And listen now closely, because
Yeah, but just to be clear, the terrorists being arrested are not prisoners of war. That's
Of course.
different. Let's get the prisoners of war.
And they can get
get the
children
prisoners.
too.
That's fine.
Shut
Go
up.
on.
of course. And I'm reading this, maybe you can disagree with it's Cambridge dictionary. Maybe if you prefer a different one, I can find a different one. So, prisoner of war, the definition that they have is a member of the armed forces, Tosting, which the Jews were not, who has been caught, which the Jews were not, by enemy forces during a war, which there wasn't.
No, but
Now you can
so
read the definition of a criminal prisoner, which is what happens when people get arrested in the West Bank for criminal activity. which is not prisoner of war. It's something different.
They're not trials, man. They're not
They are trial.
They are trial, just
They are
different
trial.
courts.
They are trial. The reason why it's a military court is because it's disputed territories.
How long does it take for them to attend a trial? 6 months?
Not very long at all.
Oh,
Not very long.
I think they need to see. I think we can look at the law, and I think I don't remember the timeline, but it's very short. I can find it and I read it.
Okay, so it's not more than 6 months, right, without a trial?
Yes, no, 100% no. I can find the law in a minute, and I will read it to you.
Okay, because there was some
So prisoner is a person who is kept in prison as a hostage.
But regardless of they're hostage or prisoners,
No, it matters. It matters. It
Okay,
matters.
fair enough.
So,
Don't get triggered. Imagine
a prisoner is someone that has a
not
crime.
prisoners, Daniel.
I'm not triggered. I'm not triggered. Listen, it's not bullshit. It's the difference between innocent and a criminal. Maybe for you it's the same, but I see. No, again, not animals. We have to
Okay,
differentiate
they're
here.
not
None of them
hostages, you're doing
none
the
of
right
them-
thing, they're
none of them
prisoners.
is-
Oh my
none of
God.
them is an
I'm
animal.
just carrying
One
on
is
prisoners.
one
Let me
is
just
that's
get to the
okay.
point.
No. We have to be
Daniel,
separate.
is it fair to be in a
One is a
prison?
criminal and one
Okay.
is innocent. That is a
Okay.
big difference. So
Daniel, is it fair for this criminal to stay in a detention 6 months without trial?
who can give me a name of someone that was in detention for 6 months
I mean,
without seeing a judge?
That's the problem.
Give me a name of someone.
Of course, I'm going to give you the. I'm just saying that there are reports that many of these Palestinians are in a temporary detention for more than 6 months without a trial. Do you think it's fair?
Without seeing a judge? Hold on. Without seeing a judge?
Of course it's fair. They're animals.
Who said that they're animals? Why are you dehumanizing Palestinians, guys?
But we are helping you.
Why are you calling them animals?
Because
Like Kitover and A. What's wrong with you that you are calling them animals?
Because
No, they're not.
it's the fact. I'm helping
They
you
are calling
figure
them,
out.
like, both Sloven and A twice called them the Palestinians animals, and I think it's disgusting.
Gallant said that. Your leader
I
Gallant
think it's
said
disgusting.
that.
I think it's disgusting.
I know that.
I think it's disgusting that you call Palestinians animals. And
Do you think it's disgusting? Gallant for the
Please stop calling Palestinians animals. This is dehumanizing and unacceptable. Can you just, guys, I think it's a very legitimate request. Please, A, please, Soren, don't call Palestinians
Daniel, that's why
Okay, so why do you guys don't understand that we cannot speak over each other? Like,
Yeah,
what I'm
just
saying
let
is
me know.
listen, in no other room, you have the chance to speak as much as you can about Palestine. So how about you respect then the space that is being given to you? Because we cannot just turn these rooms into some crazy shit. So just take your turn. Everyone has got the right to speak, but don't speak over each other.
You're the best manager. Honestly, you said you're the best manager we've ever had. I love you, darling.
I agree.
Okay, the
but
next
Then shut up.
Okay, the next person interrupts. I'm saying to the audience. I had
Yeah, good.
Okay, this is what's going to happen now. We're going to have a disciplined conversation. Instead of you calling people animals and pretending that someone else said it, you're going to respond to what was actually said. So what we got here so far was all the manipulation and lies that you've been talking about, people arrested who have not get one piece of proof yet. And all we have is that there are prisoners that are being arrested in the West Bank for criminal activity. There are prisoners. You cannot interrupt me. Let me tell it the same thing. We have people that in the West Bank that are being interrupted for criminal activities. We have people that are being prisoners of war, which are both not hostages. The only group here that took hostages were Hamas terrorists. So if you have proof to mitigate that, then we move on to the next part.
I'll put the link for you, Mayor.
This room, we are trying to have a normal conversation, and we're trying to do things that are a bit different to other rooms. So, if you wanna dish out propaganda, go ahead. Here we are trying to have like a strong conversation.
But we are about to
Don't interrupt me, please, don't interrupt me. We are trying to go into the details, we are trying to be accurate, and we are trying to go into the nuances.
Okay.
If it's too hard for you,
And afterwards, you can have some time to talk, Soren. Just let them.
yeah,
Soren wanted to
we are trying,
Soren, you
and facts do matter. And this is what we are doing in this room, okay? And I understand that it's hard for you, Soren, specifically, but this is what we do it.
So, Soren, you said you have proof from it. You have proof
Yes,
of what?
I'll put the link.
Hold on,
Soren, just working.
Live. Okay, look up to the audience. Come back when you're ready.
So they
Soren, what?
Okay, I'll put the link, which is Amnesty International. Actually, 4 days ago, they put a basically an article up about the detainees, for the lack of better words, not hostages, detainees. So I don't want to talk about whether they're hostage detainees because Daniel's going to jump in, he's going to correct me as usual. Forget about if they're hostage or detainees, but the fact that they were being in these so-called detention facilities for more than 140 days without a trial, I've got a problem with that. How about
Please be a judge.
apparently not?
I don't think the articles talks about seeing a judge, but I'm trying to
Yes,
read
it's how
why
again
they
and
were
again,
detained. But
losers.
this article is definitely,
I mean,
I think
you
it's
can obviously, if it proves the point that I said, oh,
True losers. Okay, this is called H3, a rat firm for politicians. I don't know what this room's all about, but here we go. Loading program. This room's the official heavy hit is H3, a rat firm politicians. Is we a lie? Is you cool? It's asking me twice to try to get in the room. Good afternoon, my fellow rat politicians. Is we a lie? Is you cool?
Who the fuck is this nigga?
This is Frank White, CEO of Clown House. Not another drug deal, not a nickel bag in the park if it doesn't go through Frank White.
Send me a picture of your feet. I'll give you $100.
$10 cash apps for a picture of your feet. Text 312-498-0517. A picture of your dirty ass feet for $10 right now.
Motherfucking dollar.
10 not 11, 10 not 9. 312-498-0517. A picture of your feet for $10. 10 not 11, 10 not $9. This is a man's world. We built the roads. We built the cars. We built the boats. We built the planes. We built the machine gun, the tank, the fucking jet, the iPhone, everything.
Hey, John, where my $10 at, man? I got my feet, man.
Oh no, this what you doing? This what you doing with him? This nigga gotta be asleep. You gonna let this nigga show his feet on the
I got the best feet.
That nigga said you got
I'll
techno.
kick your door open. I'll tie you up and pistol whip your mama, nigga.
Fuck, nigga, I throw you through the Bojangles window.
I thought you threw a McDonald's window.
Are you okay? Are you slow?
Yeah, you dumb. You stupid.
Look at Jackson, Tasha, Shayway, on the beat.
Me, Uno, Peso, Chino,
Ocho,
Oso,
Vito.
Queso.
Okay, this is Chatterbox Repetition Cleanse. This might be the summa bonum, or the complete summation of all my research. I feel like this is essentially my Zen doctoral thesis statement about silence, the moon, the sun, you, Rabboni Shalom. This is Dr. John Kitover, granting you access to my divine database. Thank you for coming. Chatterbox repetition clowns. Oh, Chatterbox repetition clowns. Part of that Complain Gang Incorporated. This room may strike close to your heart. You don't want to re-vibrate my vibration and reverberato into your vibrato.
Us the men, we get to decide what light comes into the world and what light doesn't. So I would personally don't put that on men, but that's just my opinion.
Thank you, bro. Haven't heard from Letitia. Hold on 1 second, please. I don't know who America is, but America, do you want to chime in? America? No. Camilla, do you want to chime in? Nope. All right, Letitia, the mic is yours.
Yeah, I was just gonna agree with Ro. I think it's just not wanting to take responsibility and trying to share the responsibility in that with men. And no, like, there are some things that men have control over, and there are some things that women have control over, and those are one of the few things we have control over, which is our womb, which is whether or not we want to have a baby. And it absolutely rests with us. because men can't go to the courts and petition for a woman who doesn't want to have a baby to have a baby. He has to convince her, he has to control her, maybe negotiate with her, but there is no recourse for him to get the courts to say he has a right in this, he has a say in this, and he has a right to say whether or not he wants a child to come into his life. Women have been arguing, pro-choice women have been arguing, my body, my choice. So no, and then when you have men who do speak on abortion, they're always saying you don't have the right to tell a woman what she can and cannot do with her body. So let's be clear and concise about it. Do you want men in the discussion or don't you want men in the discussion? You can't cherry pick and say, well, men can be a part of the discussion when they're taking responsibility for the procreation part, but they can't take responsibility for the part where I don't want to have a baby. So either they can take part in the discussion, the entire discussion, or they can't. And personally, I think that women are trying to basically pass on share of responsibility of something that is our responsibility onto men.
There's a lot of people become fathers who don't want to be fathers. And so I think that the responsibility is absolutely on both parties, and men should have their voice heard when it comes to having a baby, but I don't think that men should have their voice heard when it comes to...
Wait, hold on, Bella. I need to jump in here for a second, and it's no smoke with you, man. I've never shared space with you before. You know, I'm respectfully want to say this. Myself and my co-mod here, Hema, we're good fathers. I wanted my children, right? My son's mother didn't want to have them. I raised them by myself for the first 12 years of his life. Me, by myself. So when I hear this, that, you know, and it's not you, man, I'm saying this respectfully to everybody. When people come to stages and say men are responsible, they shouldn't have to say, let me tell you something. You see how people, I'm not doxing him. He has a large family. This dude worked his ass off 7 days a week to support his large family. He could have walked away. Many times you're going to hear him open his mic, you're going to hear one of his kids in the background. I respect this man. Not all men are monoliths, we're not all the same. I do think men should have a say in it. That's just my opinion. But with,
I absolutely agree. I absolutely agree that men should have a say. I just don't think that, I was refuting the other lady's point that it's solely a woman's decision. I would prefer to see laws that legislate men's right to choose versus the inability to have access to abortion. I prefer to see those laws because there are lots of men who want to be fathers and who don't want to be fathers. When women choose to have children and the man doesn't want to be a father, and men want the child, but the woman doesn't want to have the child. I believe that both parents, because they're equal, right? They're equal in terms of making the child. I believe both parents should have the right to choose whatever they want. And I prefer to see laws, again, legislating men's right to choose versus an absolute ban on abortion.
So can I say something to her point? Okay, so sorry.
No, go ahead. The mic is yours. Now I'm going to go to Tiffany Cooper. Go ahead.
Okay, so let me say this. Okay. The thing is this, right? I get your point. You guys want to hold men accountable, but let me say this, right? The act of not wanting a child don't come after the fact that y'all are laid up and knew that y'all don't know each other. That's what I'm tired of. Like we keep giving people passes that they know they don't know their man. They know they don't know their woman. But then they go up there and lay up with them. And then you guys want to say, she has the right. And then you know what? She doesn't just do it with that man. When she gets a pass, she do it with another man. Then when he get a pass, the act of not wanting a child comes before you decide. Let me say this. Nothing is 100% effective but keeping your legs closed. And if any adult does not understand that concept yet, then I don't feel sorry for you. Because at the end of the day, you can get an auto birth control, you can use auto condoms. Nothing is 100% effective. So at the end of the day, the reason I say that women are the gatekeepers of babies, because one, we are, and two, we're the ones who carry life. We're the ones who lay on that table, that bed, and put our life at risk. So what a lot of women need to start realizing is their life worth it for a man. They know that it's not going to be there for them. Like, we cannot excuse this behavior anymore. It's ridiculous to me. If I know that this man is not worthy, he's not going to marry me, he's not going to take care of me, you're not getting a baby out of me. You're not getting any of those things. You might not even get to lay up with me, because at the end of the day, when it comes down to it, I'm left with the responsibility. When the two lines pop up, I'm the one who got to make this decision. And when I come and tell you, what you going to tell me? You don't want a baby now? But when we was having our fun, doing what we wanted to do, you wasn't thinking about all that. So at the end of the day, I agree what you're saying, man. But let me say this. Like I said, the only thing that people need to do is stop sleeping with people that you know are going to want to be with you. We are in a generation where sex is so liberal. Like, you could just go out here, go on the area and just find sex. And these people want now the law to come up with excuses for their bad behavior, and I can't sign up for that.
Well, let me just say this, and I appreciate you, Shay. I love your energy, really. But in the 60s, it was free love, right? Not just now. Now it's just more accessible because of the internet. So, my kid sister, I say kid sister, big grown woman, she's had 3 kids, and she's had her tubes tied. Wasn't playing, none of those pregnancies were playing. She has my nephews, twin nephews, and then she had my niece. So, and let me tell you something, the man she had those babies with, that man stepped up. And I appreciate him, I respect him. But let me get the architect, and then I'm going to go to Tiffany. Architects.
Great topic. Make it personal. I didn't want my first daughter from my wife, and she had her. And that's when I understood the power of a woman, and the fact that I don't have a decision. I don't have a choice in the matter. But then I told my wife now, same woman, if you're going to give me one, you have to give me all. You see, because I want to go all in. And, 30 years, 28 years later, I have 4 beautiful kids with the same woman. Because when you're 20 years old and you're going through those little 20-year-old mentality, you don't know what you don't know. But when I saw life being created and that hospital, it blew my mind. And I saw parts of my life she would never see because I was on the other side of it. I'm saying this to say that one of the things I think is happening today is that women have put themselves in men's places. Men, and I'm saying this because of how I hear my daughters communicate with men, and how I hear women in general communicate with men. We don't want a woman to have equals. We want you to be women. And a lot of women now thinking that they can do everything by themselves, and that's all I ever hear. My sons have chosen, 2 of my sons, which are the youngest ones, I don't deal with a woman right now. Because what they're seeing, they're saying the women are becoming internet women. They want what they see on the internet. And they ask me, how did your mom meet? My wife met me with nothing, and she's gotten everything out of me. Because she's earned it with time, love, patience, and care. So I don't know how to speak to women other than to say speak to another older woman who understands what it means to be with a man. My wife said it best, but I know this. My wife said, you don't know women, you know me. And when you are with a person, like the last lady that spoke, that if you know, we all know who's not good for us, but we pick them anyway. And then we get stuck for 18 years and blame the child and the person as if you didn't know what you were walking into. So we gotta stop lying to ourselves. When I say women are not my equal, I kneel down and ask to marry. So if I'm kneeling down when I get up, she's my equal. So we are equal in different ways. But women are pushing into men's spaces, and men are pushing into women's spaces, and we're forgetting who we are. Because the American society today has blurred the lines of what masculinity and femininity is. And the feminist agenda, I'm telling you, is destroying 2024 women. Destroying you. There's no grace, there's no poise, there's no patience, there's no self-love. You protect your womb and you wait for the right man to come to you, because when you're accessible, no men value you. And yes, men will always be philanderers, but they're looking for the woman that no other man has been with. So be that woman that every man is looking for, because you lose value to a man when you lose value for yourself. And it's not about, and I have to say this, I could say with certainty that no man go to look for a woman and care how much money she makes. It doesn't cross a man's mind. Never does. But every man looks for a woman that will respect him, respect herself, and hold her modesty. I'm done.
Yeah, this is Tiffany. I would say that the architect just said maybe the truest thing I've ever heard, or the truest statements ever. But I would say that what he said also applies to young men. And, as someone who has gone through an educational process, and I see how you cultivate young men or young women, you educate them, you provide them security, guidance, leadership focus, a safe environment. I mean, I want to go back to the title of the room, which is Kamala Harris, and I would just like a few moments of your time. And I thank you all for listening to me because you're such all gracious listeners. And honestly, I want to be personal, but politically speaking, I don't trust Kamala Harris, but I am not opposed to Kamala Harris because I see the wisdom in folly. And I don't think that Kamala is necessarily the leadership that a strong America needs. And unfortunately, she's so far left and so woke that she would not secure the border. She would not end the forever wars. She would not essentially pay the debt and maybe collapse the Federal Reserve into the Treasury and restore our constitutional rights. I think she's a power grabber. And I think that all the ad hominem attacks on her are irrelevant. And I think that if you're not willing to discuss the issues, which is insolvency, which is debt, which is bankruptcy, which is moral decay, which is essentially CRT, BLM, LGBTQ, DEI, climate, feminism, Nazism. It's misinformation, propaganda, disinformation, the opposite of what we need to know and what we need to hear. I say go to the gym and vote Trump or Kennedy. And thank you all very much. And thank you very little. I'll call you, don't call me. This is Tiffany Sotheby. I'm complete. And I hope I was succinct.
All the Republican type of all of them, including this one.
Can I follow behind that? I like how you rattled off all the points of Kamala. I would have supported the Democratic ticket had he been Michelle. Far more articulate. Not that the Obamas are any better. I'm just saying, if you're going to present a candidate and not give the people a choice, because they clearly knew Joe Biden was going down down the road he was already on. That's why he never came out of the basement. They knew exactly what they engineered this for the Democratic Party, such that they wouldn't deal with the Kennedy. Very articulate man. Would have given Joe Biden a better run for his money because at least he had his own mind. But if you haven't picked a president since the founding of this country, because all of them are related to the King John in England since 1216, these are the things that we don't understand. We don't have a democracy. We have a monopoly on our understanding of what's going on around us. Every single president that's ever been there, including Obama, is related. So you don't get to choose. It's the same bird, two wings, flying the same direction. One wing is Democratic, the other one is Republican, and you believe you have a choice because they tell you you can vote, but the vote is not the choice. The choice is made in the boardrooms and interest groups that tell you what to vote for. They give you the bullshit on the internet and the TV. They block your news media feed. Any opposition they get rid of, and if they don't like you, they kill you. That's the America we live in. Unfortunately, it's sad to say that ultimately you go out with the hope that something's going to change, and never does. Because you get Ukraine with $160 billion in money, $2 trillion in COVID money, and you're holding a bill at $118,000 each person, and now I guarantee that in the next 6 months to a year, you're going to be holding the bag with a hole in the bottom of it while everyone runs away with your money, and it's your debt and it's your children's debt, and at some point, you have to scream and say, stop the madness. We're not voting for Kamala or Trump. We're voting for the same thing. I'll pause.
Free Palestine! Free Palestine!
Is anybody moderating this room? Because I get the feeling that Kamala was chosen from the get-go for this very moment. Whereas the black female, and we all know she doesn't represent African Americans, she represents essentially biracial Jamaican slave owners. The fact of the matter is, she does not represent you. She represents the deep state, and she will do the bidding of the deep state. She was engineered from the deep state, and if you see the photos of her with lots of powerful people, including Hillary Clinton, which Hillary Clinton just released on her Instagram in a nice black and white photo for you all to see, I get the feeling that there's a secret sex cult, and actually everything is engineered through sex, surprisingly. But I get the feeling that Kamala is a Trojan horse. She is essentially an engineered candidate, just like Barack Hussein Obama, just black enough to pass the black litmus test, but they're technically all just CIA assets.
Allahu Akbar.
Allahu Akbar! Free Palestine! And so you can propagandize any way you want, stop the genocide, end the genocide, and, free America from these clowns who are full of shit. God bless you all. Tiffany Sotheby is complete.
You are 100% accurate on the one thing that Kamala does not represent African Americans in any way. And they have never truly authentically put an African American of long descent from this country with deception in office. The greatest fear is they may want reparations or something. But that's not even true.
Reparations?
No, let me finish. I said that their worst, the institution's worst fear is having to pay back. So they're going to always find someone that will look like African Americans. The original authentic slaves that descended out of that situation. They're going to get any immigrant group, call them colored, call them black, and call them anything else, but they'll never authentically take a southern Mississippi, Louisiana belt person and put them in that position because the fear of payback, which is not, it's not going to materialize.
I got to tell you, that is an all or nothing position, and even if Kamala got some type of reparations package through the Congress and the Federal Reserve paid it, you have to understand that the pay.
Hey, Avery, you can jump in after, but let him finish up.
Kamala does not have African American interests in mind. Zero. She looks like us, but she's not like us. Kendrick Lamar said it best. The point is, America is picking Kamala Harris to get black people to go out and vote for another black person with no credentials. She has no credentials. She doesn't speak articulately. The difference between a Kamala communication and Donald Trump is that Donald Trump speaks construction, Kamala speaks something else I don't know how to pronounce. But she's not representing anyone in America, anyone's interest in America. Kamala Harris is incoherent. It doesn't matter if she has a law degree. I know a lot of professionals that's not coherent. I've heard her speak, she's incoherent. Donald Trump, I get him. Because I've been on construction sites, so I get his everyday people communication. Kamala Harris is incoherent. No, I get Donald Trump. You know what I love about Donald Trump? How would you like it is not what you want. He doesn't want you to feel good.
See, Bella, what you just did was called logic. You put that together. Congratulations. He's actually saying Donald Trump is more intelligent, more coherent, more succinct, more progressive, more organizationally focused. The man has more experience, more hindsight. He is the culmination of decades and decades of extreme competency. What her record is in California is tyranny, treason, deception, power grabbing. She represents the worst of morality, the worst of ethics, the worst of politicizing. She's an evil, manipulative, maniacal sex pervert. But I want to go back to reparations and the fact. Okay, Kamala. Thank you for correcting the way I pronunciate. Hopefully the future dustbin president that we never elect and the president we all probably deserve, but hopefully we'll get the correct president, the one whose presidency was stolen from him. The point is, reparations, even if blacks in this country, every single descendant of ADOS got $200,000, $400,000, $1 million, whatever the number is, that does not change the Constitution, that does not change the Declaration of Rights, that does not discriminate you against pursuing happiness. Even if you got the money, it might result in tragedy. Money it can create mass destruction in your life if you don't know how to manage it. So the point is, if it's not a reparation for collegiate academic pursuits, if you're not going to get a free education as the descendant of an African slave, that's the best way to give reparations. And that system should be and probably will be in place. But to just give people blanket checks and to call it a day, what kind of responsibility does that leave people with for people that don't have personal responsibility, that can't manage their assets, that won't invest it in the stock market, that will blow it on Cadillacs, blunts, and fucking beer and tequila?
I'm so happy you did that because I want to be in your back channel. You're going to have a whole fight, met a boyfriend. You're going to have a whole fight. Like, for real.
I just let him hang himself. I didn't want to be too quick on the trigger.
I'm taking a lunch break. So how are you feeling, Hakima, about Kamala potentially being the next president?
Like saying what I said about Joe Biden, I'm not voting for it.
For those same reasons you weren't going to vote for Joe Biden?
Yeah, mainly because she's a Democrat. Mainly, I don't know too much about her own policy to go against them, but mainly because she's a Democrat, first and foremost.
Gotcha.
But I got a red bar. I did hear her speak a couple times recently, and she sounded strong and sharp, a little arrogant, which is going to be needed against Trump. So I was kind of impressed by her. That's one of the first times really listening.
My thing is that the critiques of her just logically for me just don't even make any sense. This woman who was a successful lawyer and rose to be district attorneys and attorney generals all of a sudden is dumb and not intelligent and all these things. It's just really weird, can't speak and all the other stuff. That doesn't even make sense. So, when I see people who are willing to, malign her intelligence and her character and all these things to promote other individuals who don't even rank as well as her, like it's just remedial at this point and misogynistic and all types of weird shit that people are trying to take out on Kamala. Like, you don't get where she's at and not be intelligent. That's just point period blank. And as a black person in the United States, we don't have people we don't get the benefit of nepotism. We don't get the benefit of Peter Tills and all these other individuals. So, it's just weird to hear other black people get on this app and try to downplay her and her accomplishments.
Yeah, I disagree with some of the things I heard about what she had a part of in California, but like I say, that's not why I'm voting for it. But I do know what you're saying. Something she slapped her way to the top and all the different things people say and just dismiss her automatically. Yeah, that'd be weird when I hear it, especially after me hearing give a speech in North Carolina last week. He went against what everybody said about her.
I don't know. It's just weird. You go from 1 week being on this app, listening to individuals, you can't let Trump get back in the office and all this other weird shit. It's the worst thing that's gonna happen. And then on the flip side, you have a candidate, and then you want to talk about the shit that does not matter. Like, I can't get with that, like, at all.
Like there seems to be like some type of cognitive dissonance that's happening with people that's really, really weird. Why are we focusing on shit that doesn't matter? Her likability, would you want to date her, what she looks like, all of this shit. I've never thought about any of these things when I went to vote for somebody. And just to hear other black people who swear this is so dire and swear that this is, you know, where we need to be voting, talk about shit that don't matter. It's just, I don't know, they're remedial.
We have to learn to talk about things that don't matter when it comes to her.
And then one of the things that they keep talking about is her being an attorney general and putting black men away. And I really do want you to talk about that because you just alluded to, like, you know, you heard about some things that she did in California. I'm not quite sure why that all rests on her shoulders in terms of like her being held responsible for laws that are on the books, which she was voted in to enforce. Like we've all sat, like, I don't know, majority of us have sat in this room and Brent has did a breakdown of the fact when she was an attorney general, she had more than great numbers, people voted for her. So I'm this whole dislike of her, like where's that coming from? It's only a small segment of the population that would be from California that just dislikes her. And you can literally figure that out because it's the same type of black men that are on this app that are saying disparaging things about her. And I'm not someone before she was even potentially going to be president was for the Biden-Harris ticket. Like I'm just not. And she's not even for it. That's why what that guy was saying was so fucking ignorant. She hasn't even came out and supported reparations, right? So we have someone else bringing up some other shit that doesn't even make sense in a conversation talking about Kamala. Like people swear they're doing all the reading, doing all the research, and they don't even know the talking points of like what they're referring to. She doesn't even support reparations. Like what are we talking about? And I'm gonna go down because there's nothing about me will ever talk to that ignorant ass white man.
I missed that whole little thing. I mean, if she did come out in favor of reparations, I think it would get her votes. I don't know if she could deliver on that. I'd be skeptical.
I would be surprised if they even ask her the question though. I mean, that's gonna be one of the questions. That's just gonna be like one of the off-limit questions unless someone really want to make her look bad. But I think she don't even want the question, in my opinion.
How can they not ask her the question, right?
It wasn't asked Obama many times. They asked him maybe once. So I mean, that's the question that he didn't want either. So
it's a hotter issue now. I think it's like it's in the forefront. That's my opinion.
I'll be interested to see the answer to the question. I really don't think so. The answer's gonna be short, and she's not gonna want to act again. That reporter might not get another shot at the question.
Yeah, he got rid of people who called him the deporter-in-chief. He also did more extrajudicial drone killings than any other president up to that time. But he was well liked. Sniper, that's sort of a violent name, huh?
To be honest, Norm, I don't really care about your fucking American.
Oh, that was not an auspicious beginning.
How the hell did I wind up as a mod?
Huh?
I said, how the hell did I wind up as a mod?
I don't know. You're gonna be one of those multi-mod guys.
I don't know. Always happens. It's weird.
I think Jay modded you when he came in, but Marshall.
Oh, okay.
Hey, Brent.
Good morning, everybody. Or afternoon.
Good morning, Brent. How you feeling, Dale, man?
I'm doing good. Having a good day. I took today off because I had an appointment this morning. So, it is almost noon, but I am off for the rest of the day. So I'm trying to figure out how I want to spend my afternoon.
Visiting a museum is always a nice option if you have good museums near you.
Yeah, there's a new exhibit on the USS Midway that I might go check out because I'm at the San Diego place today. So I may go. There's a bunch of shit to do. I just gotta figure out what I want to go do. I'm being lazy.
I would not have pegged you somebody for U.S. naval history.
Yeah,
I mean that as a compliment. Like, it's quite interesting that you enjoy U.S. naval history. I didn't know that about you.
So the funny thing is I like naval history, and I'm kind of a lighthouse nerd, so the other thing I might do is because San Diego has the Cabrillo Point Loma lighthouse that I want to go out there.
It'd be so nice. Turn into a house.
I've seen those conversions. They're actually pretty fucking cool. It wouldn't work for me with all my mobility issues and everything else, but they're actually pretty fucking cool for the right personality. Yeah, those lighthouse conversions can be pretty interesting.
So you noticed anything interesting in the news today?
Today, is there more new outside of yesterday's announcement that, Papa Dementia has finally realized he needs to step aside?
Not that I've heard. Last time I checked the AP, inside the AP app, there's nothing super exciting going on. Let's see. Harris wins Pelosi endorsement. Claims many of the delegates she needs for the nomination. Trump campaign quickly pivots to Harris after Biden. And then the Secret Service director is being grilled on the Hill today. And what's her face? Rashida Tlaib took her chance on this questioning about the assassination attempt on Trump to waste her time to talk about gun violence in America and how these weapons of war needed to get off the streets. Of course, to her audience, it probably worked. It did not have that effect on me. I thought it was worthless virtue signaling, personally.
Half of those types of committee questions are just trying to get the gotcha moment or the 15-second.
Yep.
It's not
televised. It's being used as a campaign tool.
Well, and you know who to expect those things from on different issues. At both sides of the aisle do it, so I don't expect anything constructive from fucking Tlaib 95% of the time, and if it has to do with Trump, I really don't expect her to be, because she's 100% one of those people stuck in her derangement.
Oh, yeah, very much so. She has a high level of TPS.
If it wasn't for Islamic terrorism, no one would care about the Muslims.
They should all be furious, and they should all be concerned, because the Secret Service runs the security details for every political official who ends up getting clearance for it. So it's like, you would think
them to get their shit straight so you and your friends are protected as you move up the food chain and when you request protection details. Because if they're dropping the ball for the president, that should be the A team. So if they're dropping the ball there, they're potentially dropping the ball when they protect your ass. So it's odd to me that some of them are not more concerned of like, hey, how did this happen? Like, was this a lapse in judgment? Was this under allocation of people? Was this a miscommunication between locals and federal? Like, what is the problem here? Instead of leaning into kind of trying to score political points.
Apparently the local police are the folks who alerted the Secret Service to the dude crawling around on the roof of the rifle. That it was not caught initially by Secret Service. And that, like, that's disturbing. It, like, has flecks of the dysfunction of the Obama Secret Service. You know, their Cartagena, Colombia trip, like letting guys get into the White House, all that kind of crap. They're not coming across as really good at their jobs in any way. I'm sure they're perfect nice people, though.
Yeah, I'm just, and this is my criticism of both parties.
Oh, so it begins.
I'm very, very sick of the inefficient way that they fucking run hearings now, and just kind of the uselessness of it, because it's been a long time since I've been able to sit down and watch a congressional hearing that ran the way it should, with a decent amount of efficiency, where you could really see what they were trying to accomplish and what they were trying to get to the bottom of. And it's like, okay, so if this is what you're all doing in open hearings, I can only imagine how dysfunctional you are in closed working sessions.
I've always wondered about that. It seems like the public stuff gets more drama, the private stuff gets less drama, and so do inane topics like rocket boosters. And Duncan and his staff, Ted, is, many times for events like this. And those events are usually, those hearings are usually rather boring. I mean, aside from talking about going to the moon and Mars and shit, a lot of it has to do with rocket boosters and thrust, and Teddy's been interested in that shit forever. Aside from being on the Judiciary Committee. But Judiciary seems like it gets more drama than, a subcommittee hearing on the Commerce Committee
Good thing
dealing with, NASA and SpaceX and, the folks that make our rocket boosters and that kind of shit. That sort of inane scientific information seems like it just doesn't cater really well to drama.
Colin looks so white.
Yeah, I get that. I think it's also certain committees pick up the right personality, and certain committees draw the most
Vote Hakatui.
How that's but I'm partial to Senate committees because you get a different personality with senators most of the time. You get a different behavior. Their job is different. And so, what they have to do and what they're accountable for is very different than a Congress member. And so with that, you get different behavior. Not being able to tune in and see functionality of the government, right? I moved to this country in a period where, divisive or not, things were functional. And for the vast majority of my adult life in this country, things have been functional. We're now at a point where it's like, okay, let me watch 60 minutes of a congressional hearing. and you'll watch it, and 17 minutes of it is either them doing nothing, or, them pushing papers around trying to figure out who's speaking next, which is bizarre. No efficiency there. Or them nitpicking over procedure in a way that doesn't actually benefit anyone, where it's like, okay, Marjorie Taylor Greene's gonna speak, but we don't want her to speak, so the minute she talks, we're gonna start asking parliamentary inquiries. They have set a record number, I don't know if you know this, Marshall, they have set a record number for the amount of parliamentary inquiries in one term. They have set the record in contemporary times of the amount of parliamentary inquiries, which is comical, given they are also setting a record for being the least productive Congress in contemporary times, with the amount of bills that have been brought forward, bills that have been voted on, bills that have been approved. So it's not even like, hey, we can't agree, so we can't get these things finalized. They are the least functional in contemporary times of getting anything brought to the table, acknowledging it's at the table, or working on it while it's at the table, not to mention successfully passing. So it makes me laugh. How do you have the most parliamentary and rules inquiries, but you're doing the least amount of work? Like, shut the fuck up and do your job.
He or she who knows the rules best usually wins. One of the sadder parts is that, this hearing, at least part of it, I think is under Comer's chairmanship. And after that incident with Jasmine Crockett and Martin Taylor Greene, I just don't have a whole lot of faith in him as a chairman. Right? There were several things parliamentary he should have done right away, and I've never been able to tell whether Comer's lack of speed had to do with not knowing what to do, or whether he was slow in connecting the dots. Either way, it didn't really wind up very good, obviously.
I'm gonna say it was a twofer, because one, he did not hear the initial comment. You can watch it 100 times. He did not hear what Marjorie Taylor Greene said initially, because he wasn't fucking listening. And he was looking at papers and trying to listen to his aide. He wasn't listening. And, sorry, got distracted there for a second. And then once Jasmine Crockett chimed in, it was a mixture of he didn't hear what she said clearly, and it didn't make any fucking sense because he's an old white guy. And so he's sitting there like he didn't hear what the original thing was that she took offense to, that they all took offense to. And then he didn't hear clearly what the fuck she said about Marjorie Taylor Greene with the police bond, whatever, bad built body, blah, blah, blah. And so he was just fucking stuck. And then he didn't seem to be interested in maneuvering anybody out, which is the problem. You have to be willing, whether they're on your side of the aisle or the other side, to address the sergeant at arms and say, yeah, she's out. You're out. Get the fuck out. She's done for the day. Take her out of the building. And when you do that, which historically, most people who have run committees or chaired have been willing to do. As much as I criticized Pelosi in her tenure, there were many instances where they put their own members out. And not necessarily all day, but it was like, you are done, go outside, go in the hall, calm the fuck down. You're not going to be disruptive. And there's a couple of chairs that are not willing, I guess, to do it, and instead are like, well, we'll write this out. That was a great example of AOC should have been out, Bowman should have been out, Marjorie Taylor Greene should have been out, Gates should have been out. There's about 7 or 8 of them who all should have been out for fucking screaming over the top of shit. You all already know there's an inquiry in, right? There's an inquiry in. Why are you all screaming to be recognized when there's already an inquiry? Shut the fuck up and let the process happen. The fact that he didn't act on any of that just opened the door for it's like, okay, we're going to be the Jerry Springer show. And you're just okay with that. Got it.
I didn't think Jerry Springer when I saw it. I thought Montel Williams. That's because I used to watch Montel as a kid.
Hey, can anyone give me any highlights on the Secret Service in the hearing? Was there any revelation?
nothing of value. A bunch of members of Congress trying to get their 15 minutes and their plug to put on TikTok.
Okay, alright, thanks. I'll skip it.
Really unfortunate. I'm gonna be honest. I'm a little more judgmental than other people. We all know that. So but I did not see a lot of value there because instead of all being on the side of let's figure out what the fuck went wrong, there was definitely more of an interest of trying to get the right clip, trying to poke the bear at the things they wanted to, and it's why I'm bitching right now, and it's why I bitch a lot of the times on these things is I get it's politics, I get it's an election year, but this is one thing that they should all want to have straight because Secret Service runs the political details, security details for everybody. So if they're ever going to have one, now obviously members of Congress don't generally get one right off the bat, that's not how that works, but if you're ever going to have a security detail, it's going to be coming down that same pipeline. And if the A-team, or people who should be an A-team protecting a former president and a major candidate, fuck up to the degree that they did. And we did a room on Chatter, rolling through my court conversations house on Chatter, we did a room going through where they fucked up. And we had the video on and we went through and highlighted, and I had a friend who does the training for the Secret Service, who's retired now, go through and point out, look, this is not right, this is not right, this is not right. The whole thing was a shit show. So I would expect their hearings to be more on the issue and on the concerns of, hey, where did we fuck up here? Was this, clearly this was a mess up. We're not really looking to put the blame on anybody right now, but where was this fucked up and how do you prevent this in the future? Because it's a shit show when you end up letting some untrained 18-year-old child successfully take a shot at the fucking former president.
Former special forces is the leadership. It's required for national security. DEI clown.
Sniper that took him down. This whole rumor of him being fired, that's baloney, isn't it?
No, so what happens is if you successfully take somebody out, and this is the same thing with police officers, if there's a bank robbery or a standstill, your gun is taken, you are placed on administrative pause while they do the good faith investigation. So if you kill somebody in your job as a law enforcement officer, they take your firearm, they take your badge, and they say, hey, go back to the office, we have to vet this to make sure this was a good faith shooting. He was put on good faith review, which is just standard. That's what they do. They don't shove you back out to go do this again right away. They do a good faith check because that's required by the system. And that usually comes with you have the option to go talk to a psychiatrist or a therapist. There's a bunch of shit there, but in this instance, it's just procedural. The guy clearly didn't do anything wrong, but they still have to place them on leave temporarily.
Yeah.
Usually a number of days. It's 7 to 10 days.
Yeah, it's just one of those things we gotta do. I know that happens to concealed carry holders. Right, if you're a concealed carry holder in the state of Texas and you get into an interaction where you fatally shoot somebody, your gun is taken and you might be taken in to the county jail until they can sort out that you did it in self-defense.
Marshall, can you, you or Hakima get Sexy up here and Hope up here? I'm
trying already. I'm not sure.
Okay, cool. I'm just, sometimes it takes everybody pushing the button and sometimes it still doesn't work, but we're trying, folks.
Here we go.
Hey, I couldn't hear. Is it my turn to speak? Is that what it is?
speak if you'd like to.
Okay, got a question for you. So, are you able to do a FOIA request, or are you able to request based on what they got and who's in charge of all that? Because she was very evasive of giving out names. I understand for security reasons you don't want to say who was on the detail or who approved the plans and everything else. But aren't we able to just request that? Are they not part of
the public hearing?
Down the line?
Not in the public hearing on the floor. So Secret Service details are automatically classified for the safety and continuity of the agency. So in committee meetings, they'll have that on paperwork. And in closed door meetings, they're able to review that. They're able to request those things be declassified to be discussed in open hearing. But in general, if you're going to have media there and public disclosure, those things can't be available.
Hey, one second. Hey, Sexy, look in your bio, see if you can start speaking. But
rewarded.
You may have that, because I don't know.
Yeah, I would try coming out and going out and coming back in, because I can't bring you in, dude.
Okay, my follow-up question would be like, so the only accountability that a normal average person can get, because it was funny, some of the senators were saying that we probably learned a lot more, not probably, for sure, we learned more details from YouTube or TikTok or all these other social media or news channels than we got
Instead
from
of
her.
suspension,
So that's my only
he should be
concern. I know
rewarded
it's
with
not
an
the
immediate
easiest
cash
job
bonus,
of having
a 5-star
8,000
AK
people
Molly,
working
and a
under
free
your
Colt
supervision. It's not
Beretta
an easy
gun.
task to do. He seems to have had the most amount of experience out of everybody else that could potentially be running the agency, being there for 25 plus years. So that part I'm okay with. Seems like she's got a lot of life experience in that, sector. So I think that part is good. But I'm very disappointed that she didn't have any of the timeline or any more details that we have learned, or if we kind of knew, we just needed verification. So yeah, you're right.
Hopefully
2-3
you
hours
drown
a waste of
while
time.
eaten by a shark at the
Their
ocean
sound bites
clown.
for TikTok and their fucking Instagram and shit like that, just to make themselves popular, saying, "Oh, we asked the tough questions," but it adds no value to the general population of what the fuck you asked, because she wasn't gonna answer any of that stuff.
You know what's the worst part about that? Citizens aren't going to hold their feet to the fire. There seems to be this thing in the United States where people
they get like $10 billion or $8 billion. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, how many people are you guys, supervising, or how many people are you protecting on a daily basis that you need like $10 billion? Like, how much are you paying these guys per hour? Like, to me that's just like an ass.
Well, massively underfunded. I mean, here's the thing: the Secret Service has been massively underfunded for about 25 years. When you look at the actual budgets and you look at the amount of coverage and the amount of agents and the amount of general departmental budget that goes in, they have been massively underfunded. So what she's asking for, what she's pointing out, is that they need to make up for this lapse of not increasing their budget. Like Congress happily increases the budget of certain departments every year, every term. Secret Service has not gotten
This SS agent who shot the assassin should receive $1 million award of
the amount of
reparation.
increase they need with the additional amount of work and details and things that have been put on their lap. Over the last decade, we have expanded
the Republic.
who gets Secret Service details, in what situation they get them.
So is this time for her to get more budgeting? Could this be part of those things? She's not giving us answers because she's hoping that
Old Haley SS agent
ask for more money.
saves POTUS Trump.
The public
drones cost a couple of grand. Even if they need 100 fucking drones, that's only 200,000.
Well, drones are not. Here's the thing: you're not going to get a government drone that costs less than $50,000, right?
Okay,
The government doesn't go to Amazon.
At $50,000, it still doesn't add up to $1 billion.
Would you like to shut up long enough to hear me respond to you? Or
Nah. No, I just wanted to throw that in the talk. Go ahead, you're all right. I didn't want to cut you up, but I'm just saying it just doesn't make sense. Common sense.
So when you look at the budget, let me put
That means
it
he
this way
doesn't
for you,
want you
this is
talking
what
about.
people miss. If you take say we need to expand the Secret Service. In order to expand the Secret Service, you need a senior level supervisor to run a department. That job is about $200,000. The benefit package attached to that job is another $60,000 or $70,000 in terms of allocation, and retirement match, pension match. So okay, I need that. Now I need, let's say I'm only adding 10 agents. They're each going to make about $150,000 plus a $60,000 budget in terms of their benefits package, match, employer match to retirement, things of that nature. So now I'm at $2.5 million in terms of flat hiring budget, in order to say, hey, I need it for this year. When the government builds new departments, they have to slate for 10 years. So I need $20 million to hire those 10 people and a supervisor to expand that department. Now I need the budget to have their firearms. The firearms and training budget on a Secret Service agent, aka like just the material, the guns, the gear, the stuff, is about $100,000 per officer. So okay, that's another $1 million. So, and I have to front load that for replacements every 5 years. So that's about $3 million. So now we're at $23 million. And then they have to go through Flexi and go through RTS retraining. That's $150,000 a person. So that's another $2 million. And you just adding 10 people to an existing department with a supervisor, you're looking at a $50 million increase.
Well, she said she wants to get it to 9,500 or something like that.
Well, this is my point. I'm looking and doing numbers for 10 people and a supervisor. She is saying she needs another 1,000 people. So I'm saying they're at about $50 million to have 10 more people onboarded and front-loaded due to the requirements we have on departmental funding. So if it's $50 million for 10 people and she needs 1,000 people, it's not shocking how they get to that budget. And when you line item strip, it's because we require them to pre-fund a certain amount of things. We don't fund for a year on a new position. When you're expanding a department, we fund for 10 years. And that's a requirement in federal law enforcement. They have to do it. It's a congressional oversight requirement. And so the numbers are not shocking when you
Insane
look at
bullshit.
it and say,
You're
okay,
admitting the system is a scam, a joke. The national security is an illusion.
and a lot of it has to do with the fact that they haven't given her predecessors the money they needed for a couple decades now. So when you go back and say, hey, if you had done this every year,
you're admitting the system is
she
a
wouldn't
scam,
need
a
this
joke.
big of an increase.
The national security is an illusion.
And you would have just done it in the budget and it would have made more sense. Now you're having to play catch up of 20 years of not doing it. So I'm not taking shots at her on the budget. I think she's actually being pretty realistic about what she would need to have that department functioning at the level it used to, because they just haven't done anything. Here's an example I use for people, right? In the federal judiciary, we have not had an expansion of judges that is significant since 1969. 1969, they expanded the federal judiciary by 30%. In the mid-90s and 94, they expanded it by 4%, and those were all thrown into immigration positions. So the federal judiciary has not had an expansion of judges or staff since before the 1970s. That is 50, headed towards 60 years since we have expanded.
No one cares about
The
federal
population in
justice.
this country has gone up by 40-45% in that time. The amount of tasks that the federal judiciary is tasked to deal with have tripled, but we have not bothered to expand it. So if you were to go to the judiciary today and say, hey, we want to get back to the efficiency of the system back in the 60s, and we want this shit to run, we don't want it to take 3 years to process an illegal, we don't want it to take 10 years to process a fraud case, how do you do that? They're going to say, okay, we need billions of dollars because you have not invested in this expansion in fucking 60 years. And if you go across our government and look at the amount of departments that they have simply not done these investing plans with, that now we're getting hit with this giant bill, it's kind of like if you have a car, you can do oil checks, change your oil, check your air pressure, do your tire pressure, and you can expand the life of that car. Or you can do nothing with it, and eventually you're gonna have to buy a new car, or, you know, fucking have a major expensive issue. Our government is facing those expensive issues because we failed on maintenance. Like, a nation of 330 million clearly needs more allocated funding and more allocated positions than a nation of 150 million. And when you look at when we did these allocations last time, that's the population difference.
So is it better to fund these departments or F-22 Raptors, which is, I think last time I checked, the budget was 440 billion, or some astronomical fucking number where you could probably feed the entire country.
Let me deal with something in the chat. So Tiffany Sotheby, I don't know if you're new here, right? We don't allow random cursing in the chat. We don't allow anything that's considered to be offensive. And
It's Edmund.
Oh, that's Edmund. Why is it not blocked then, Marshall?
I don't know.
Okay, so let me be clear to all of the mods. Any account that is known or thought to be Edmund has permission from Roger to be blocked and booted, period. So if you think it's an Edmund account, we block it, we boot it, it's out. Because Edmund has been warned a million times about recording and trolling. So if we think it's an Edmund account, block it, and then remove it from room if you're a mod.
I have to soundbite that and include that in my intro. Okay, everybody, this is Edmund Dakin, aka John Kitover. I want to thank you for coming. That was super unhealthy debates with a fat, disgusting pig LGBTQ federal judge and his little acolytes. And this is John Kitover at 312-498-0517. Okay, this has been Chatterbox Repetition Clones. This is John Kitover. Thanks.